We are going to be celebrating the International Fasting Day for Israel and for all believers. And it's called Tisha B'Av, or a day of mourning. Some call it a day of grief, terrors, destruction, and a day of severe corrections. It always shows up between Pentecost harvest and the Feast of Trumpets. But it varies every year depending on the 19-year cycle. And this year it happens on the 18th of July. Now in history, most invasions from the Philistines and from the Canaanites came about on this particular day. They invaded that day. And they were always raiding because they had just finished this harvest. So they were, the Philistines would come in and raid. In 586 BC, the first temple was destroyed on Tisha B'Av. It was also on this day that Judah was exiled to Babylon. Okay. And in 70 AD, the Romans destroyed the second temple on Tisha B'Av. You see a pattern forming?
It's a bad omen.
And Rome crushed the last great revolt by the Jews on Tisha B'Av in 135 AD. And then Judah was exiled from the land of Judah, in 35 AD. On this very day, all the Jews were sent out of Judah. Then we have Spain's expulsion decree, which happened in 1492, that either the Jews converted or they had to get out of Spain and they couldn't take any assets with them. So, exactly on this day, Tisha B'Av, the decree was issued and they had one day to get out of Spain or convert to Catholicism. And then, in 1942, the Nazis began deporting Jews to death camps on, guess what day?
Ninth of Ab.
Tisha B'Av. There's other events that have been prophesied and speculated are going to be happening on this day. It was speculated that the Greek invaders, when they came into the Palestine area, or put Judah, Israel, and they polluted the temple and stopped worship on this day. And then, on the same, not in the same year, but on that same day, a mosque was built on the Temple Mount. It's the day when all Philistine invasion started. But they were the key with them is that they went in to raid everything out of the land. Always, they would take all the metal items, all the food, trying to starve the Israelis to death, children of Israel to death. And they wouldn't have been put in that position had they kept the Sabbath day. It is believed it is the day that Noah's flood started. A day on which the count to the 1335 days begins before Yeshua's return. It will be counted from that day, from this coming Sunday. And it's the day of Armageddon, when the armies unite from around the world and come against Yeshua in Jerusalem. They defeat. They believe they can defeat the eternal God. And it's the day that starts persecution on believers in Christian churches and synagogues in the Western world, which started last year on Tisha B'Av here in Alberta. Doesn't that sound strange? That this day is lined up for the release of Satan's wrath. It's the day in which the Alberta Health Service declared all churches non-essential and heavily restricted services. It is believed to be the day that the Syrian Antichrist arrives in Jerusalem, where it says, flee, don't bother to take your coat, just get out of there as fast as you can. And it's believed to be the day that war breaks out after the World Declaration of Peace in our time, when all these special agreements are made with the Arabs and Jews, and backed by Rome and backed by Europe and stuff like that. And that is that there's about a 3-month hiatus in that period where there's peace is declared, and then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. It's believed it's on this day. And it may also be the day in which the wrath of God comes upon the world. Can you see any reason why you should be fasting for Israel and for the believers on this day? Because it may be that our willingness to sacrifice for others at this time is what is a heart qualifier for the rapture, for safety, protection, for ourselves and our family. So we pray this touches your soul and you'll participate fully with this day of fasting that's going on worldwide for the protection of the saints and believers and chosen people.